Have you ever felt like you're living in a completely different reality from the person you're with? At first, they seem perfect, charming, intelligent, thoughtful. They make you believe you've finally found someone who truly gets you. But then, over time, something feels off. You start feeling drained, confused, and slowly lose the confidence you once had. They make you question yourself. Am I overreacting? Am I the problem? If this sounds familiar, you might be dealing with a narcissist. These people don't enter your life to love or cherish you. They come to use you. They take your energy, your trust, and sometimes even your self-worth. But the worst part? They make you believe it's your fault. So how do you spot the signs before it's too late? How do you know if you're being pulled into a psychological game you didn't even realize was happening? Today, I'm exposing 10 undeniable signs that a narcissist is playing with you. These aren't the obvious red flags you'll notice right away, but once you see them, you'll never be fooled again. If you've ever felt trapped in a relationship where everything revolves around them, if you've ever been manipulated into doubting your own reality, then this is a video you can't afford to miss. Hit like and subscribe now, because after today, you'll never be a pawn in a narcissist's game again. 1. The narcissist's illusion. Always right, never wrong. Imagine meeting someone who seems almost too perfect to be true. They're smart, charming, generous, and always have inspiring stories about their successes and the great things they've done. They make you feel like you're lucky to have them in your life. But over time, something starts to feel off. At first, you don't notice it. When you share a concern or struggle, they don't really listen. Instead, they immediately redirect the conversation back to themselves, about how they faced the same situation but handled it much better than you. Slowly, you realize they never take responsibility for their mistakes. If something goes wrong, there's always someone or something to blame. A jealous co-worker, a crazy ex, an unfair situation, but never them. And if you dare to call them out, instead of reflecting or acknowledging their faults, they will instantly defend themselves with excuses, shift the blame, or worse, turn it back on you. This isn't just a coincidence. It's a classic trait of narcissists. They constantly inflate their own image while minimizing or outright denying their flaws. To them, maintaining a perfect persona is more important than anything, even the truth. They don't just want admiration, they need it. That's why they have no problem manipulating reality, twisting facts and making you feel like you're the one at fault, all to protect their ego. So how can you spot this before it's too late? First, don't be fooled by appearances. A narcissist can talk endlessly about themselves, but watch their actions. Do they truly live up to their words, or is everything just a performance to build their image? Pay attention to how they react to criticism. A mature, responsible person can own up to their mistakes, but a narcissist will immediately justify, blame shift, or attack you in return. Most importantly, protect your boundaries. If you recognize someone constantly avoiding responsibility and manipulating others to maintain their perfect image, remind yourself that you are not responsible for maintaining their illusion. You don't need to argue, you don't need to fix them. You can choose to walk away. Take a moment and ask yourself, am I truly being respected? If the answer is no, then it's time to make the best decision for yourself. A healthy relationship has no place for manipulation and control, and you deserve a relationship that genuinely values and respects you. 2. Conditional kindness. When niceness is just an act. Imagine meeting someone new, everyone seems to love them. They're generous, fun, and always willing to lend a hand. When you're feeling down, they're the first to check in. When you need help, they show up immediately. You start believing you found someone who genuinely cares about you. But then, one day, you notice something's off. They start acting distant when you don't go along with what they want. They're only nice to you as long as you follow their expectations. The moment you say no to a favor, their warmth fades. You miss one of their parties and suddenly they're cold and uninterested in talking to you. Their kindness isn't unconditional, it's a silent transaction. This is one of the classic tactics of a narcissist, conditional friendliness. At first, they make you feel special, important, even indispensable in their life, but the truth is, everything only holds value as long as you continue to serve their needs. The moment you stop fulfilling their expectations, their attitude shifts instantly, from friendly and kind to indifferent, cold, or even hostile. So how can you recognize this before it's too late? First, pay attention to whether their kindness comes with strings attached. A genuine person will help you without expecting anything in return, while a narcissist uses kindness as a tool for control. Try saying no to them once and observe their reaction. If they become distant, irritated, or make you feel guilty, it's a clear sign that they don't truly care about you. They only care about whether you're still useful to them. Beyond that, watch how they treat others. If they have spoken badly about people to you, chances are, one day, you'll be the next person they badmouth. Narcissists don't build relationships based on sincerity, they build them based on what they can gain from others. Most importantly, don't let them manipulate you through the fear of abandonment. A narcissist will try to make you feel like you need them, like losing them means losing something valuable. But the truth is, someone who genuinely cares about you will respect you even when you don't do what they want. They won't disappear or change their attitude just because you set boundaries. Ask yourself, do the people in your life value you for who you are, or just for what you can do for them? If you realize you're just another piece in someone else's game, walk away before you become a pawn in their manipulation. 3. When they have to be the most important person in the room, think back to a party or an event you've attended. Everyone is talking, laughing, enjoying the moment, until one person walks in and suddenly everything revolves around them. They need to be the center of attention, the most important presence in the room, and if they're not, they'll find a way to make it happen. A narcissist cannot stand being second place. They want to be the star, the leader, the one who gets all the recognition. If someone else is getting attention, they'll cut in, redirect the conversation, or subtly undermine that person to make themselves look superior. In their mind, everything has to revolve around them. But this isn't just about social settings. This mindset carries over into every aspect of their life: work, family, friendships, even romantic relationships. At work, they want the high-profile projects, the key roles, and if someone else is outperforming them, they'll do whatever it takes to steal back the spotlight. In family dynamics, they demand to be the decision-maker, the one whose voice matters most. In relationships, they expect to be their partner's top priority, no matter how unfair or damaging that expectation might be. If you've ever felt like you've been pushed into the background in a relationship with a narcissist, it's not a coincidence. To them, you're just a supporting character in their story, someone who exists to uplift them but never to surpass them. And if you try to take up space for yourself, they won't allow it. They'll guilt-trip you for not supporting them, or worse, chip away at your confidence to ensure you always remain beneath them. So how do you recognize and deal with someone like this? First, watch how they react when others receive recognition. Do they genuinely celebrate other people's successes, or do they immediately shift the attention back to themselves? Pay attention to how they respond when you accomplish something big. If they can't be truly happy for you, that's a major red flag. They don't care about your success. They only care about whether you outshine them. Next, hold your ground. Don't let them manipulate you into feeling guilty for wanting to assert yourself. You have the right to shine, to be acknowledged, to have a voice. Someone who truly loves and respects you will celebrate your success, not see it as a threat. Finally, ask yourself, am I in a balanced relationship, or am I just a tool to boost someone else's ego? If you find yourself constantly sidelined, minimized, and treated like a secondary player in your own life, walk away. You don't need to live in anyone's shadow. 4. Narcissists never lose when criticism becomes a war. Have you ever tried to have an honest conversation with someone only to watch it spiral out of control? You're not yelling, you're not attacking, you're just speaking your mind, but instead of listening, they react like you just launched a personal assault. Your words get twisted, the conversation is flipped upside down, and before you know it, you're the one being blamed for daring to tell the truth. A narcissist is never wrong. In their mind, every mistake comes with an excuse. Every responsibility can be shifted onto someone else. When faced with criticism, they don't just get defensive, they go on the attack. They might belittle you, dig up your past mistakes as ammunition, or even paint you as the villain for daring to challenge them. But what's worse is that they don't just deflect blame, they manipulate you into doubting yourself. Suddenly you start wondering, am I overreacting? Am I the problem? They make you question your own emotions and perceptions, and before you even realize it, you're the one apologizing for something they did. This is not a fair conversation. This is a battle, and in their game, you will never win. So how do you escape? First, remember that you don't owe explanations to someone who refuses to listen. They're not reacting this way because they don't understand the issue. They're reacting this way because they want to control the conversation. Don't let them manipulate you with guilt or fear. Second, stand your ground. When they start attacking your character, recognize it as a tactic, not the truth. When they try to shift the focus onto your flaws, bring the conversation back to the real issue. If you constantly find yourself defending instead of being heard, you're not having a discussion, you're walking into a trap. And finally, ask yourself, do I deserve to be treated this way? If you're always made to feel small, always backed into a corner whenever you try to speak up, maybe it's time to walk away. A healthy relationship is not a place where every conversation turns into a battle you can never win. 5. When compliments are just a trap, how narcissists use criticism to control you. Have you ever felt like you're walking on a tightrope in a relationship? One day they shower you with praise, making you feel special, amazing, even irreplaceable in their life. But the next day, they tear you down mercilessly, criticizing you over the smallest things, making you feel like you're never good enough. This is one of the narcissist's favorite tactics, using criticism to keep you under control. At first, they lift you up with compliments, making you feel confident. But the moment you start feeling secure, they cut you down with cruel remarks. They don't want you to be too comfortable in your own skin. They want you to always feel like you need them to be worthy. Their criticism can be subtle. Sometimes it's not outright insults, but rather sarcastic comments, backhanded compliments, or honest feedback that just happens to hurt. They might say things like, "You really think you're good at that? I don't see it, but hey, if you believe it, I liked you better when you weren't trying so hard to act smart." Others might not notice, but I think you've gained a little weight. Little by little, you start doubting yourself. You no longer feel sure of your worth, and that makes it easier for them to control you. When you feel like you're not good enough, you try harder to please them. You fear disappointing them. You constantly feel like you have something to prove, but no matter how hard you try, they will always find a way to bring you down. So how do you break free from this toxic cycle? First, recognize their pattern. If someone constantly builds you up only to break you down right after, it's not an accident, it's a strategy. They want to keep you in a state of insecurity to manipulate you more easily. Next, trust your inner voice. If you feel hurt but they keep telling you that you're too sensitive, believe in your own feelings. No one who truly cares about you should make you feel inadequate. And most importantly, stop seeking their approval. Once you realize that they never truly want you to feel good about yourself, you'll see that you don't need their validation to be worthy. Surround yourself with people who genuinely support you, who want to see you grow instead of tearing you down. Have you ever encountered someone like this? Share your story in the comments. You're not alone, and your experience might help someone else escape a toxic relationship. 6. The hidden truth. When narcissists don't want you to know who they really are. Have you ever noticed that some people seem extremely secretive about their personal lives, but not in a normal way? They love talking about their successes, their achievements, and how great they are, but the moment you ask simple questions about their past, their finances, or their relationships, They suddenly become vague, evasive, or even defensive. This is a classic narcissist trait. They don't want to be accountable to anyone. They avoid answering too many questions about themselves because they know that if the truth comes out, the perfect image they've built will crumble. They might hide things about their finances, past relationships, or past mistakes. Anything that could damage the persona they've worked so hard to maintain. But what's even more alarming is that they use secrecy as a form of control. They know a lot about you, your emotions, your fears, your weaknesses, but you know very little about them. By keeping things hidden and only revealing what they want you to know, they keep you confused, uncertain, and dependent on them for answers. They also use vagueness as a tool for emotional manipulation. If you ask where they've been or what they're doing, they might say things like, "That's none of your business. Why are you always trying to control me? I don't owe you an explanation." This leaves you feeling insecure, doubting yourself, and even questioning whether you're being too intrusive or demanding. But the truth is, a responsible and honest person doesn't see transparency as a threat. So how do you spot this behavior before it's too late? First, pay attention to whether they naturally share personal information. A mature, genuine person won't hesitate to talk about their past or their life, while a narcissist will dodge, deflect, or immediately change the subject. Next, ask yourself, how much do you really know about them compared to how much they know about you? If you realize they know everything about your life, but you barely know anything about theirs, that's a major red flag for control. And most importantly, don't let them make you feel guilty for wanting transparency. If you're in a relationship where the other person constantly hides things and makes you feel like you're wrong for simply wanting to understand them better, that is not a healthy relationship. You deserve to know about the person you're investing your time, energy, and emotions into. If you've ever met someone like this, comment 1 below. If you haven't, hit the subscribe button to keep discovering more insights into narcissists and how to protect yourself from their games. 7. The distorted truth when narcissists play games with honesty. Have you ever felt like someone was hiding something but you couldn't quite figure out what? They're not outright lying, but they're not being completely honest either. They tell a story with plenty of details, yet something about it feels off, incomplete, or just doesn't quite add up. And when you ask questions, they laugh it off and say you're overthinking. This is one of the narcissist's most dangerous weapons. They distort the truth to manipulate you. They don't have to lie outright, they just tweak, omit, or provide half-truths. They might tell you about an argument with a coworker, but conveniently forget to mention that they were the one who caused the issue. They might describe an insane ex, but leave out what they did to provoke that reaction. More importantly, they know how to make you doubt yourself. They subtly change details every time they tell a story, and if you catch an inconsistency, they'll insist you're remembering it wrong. If you push for clarification, they'll turn it around on you, making you feel like you're being overly sensitive or controlling. This is gaslighting, a powerful manipulation tactic that narcissists use to make you question your own reality. Why do they do this? Because the truth doesn't serve them. They need to control the narrative, control how others perceive them, and most importantly, control you. If they can make you believe their version of reality, they will always have the upper hand. So how do you protect yourself? First, trust your intuition. If something doesn't seem right, don't ignore it just because they try to convince you otherwise. Your instincts can detect deception before your logic fully processes it. Next, keep track of details. If their story changes every time they tell it, it's not an innocent mistake, it's deliberate manipulation. An honest person won't feel threatened when you ask questions, but a narcissist will act like you're attacking them the moment you point out inconsistencies. Finally, don't engage in endless arguments to get to the truth. A narcissist doesn't care about truth, they care about control. They will never admit fault, never take responsibility, and will always twist the conversation until you're the one doubting yourself. The only way to win this game is not to play by their rules. If you're looking for a safe space to discuss how to recognize and handle toxic people, join Stoic Pathways. It's a community where we train our minds to be strong, learn to master our emotions, and build a life free from the grip of manipulators. Join us today. 8. Impossible to argue. When a narcissist turns conflict into chaos, have you ever tried to resolve a disagreement with someone, but it never goes anywhere? You want to have a mature conversation where both sides can express their thoughts and find a solution, but instead you find yourself trapped in a never-ending battle. No matter what you say or how you explain your point, they always twist the argument into a personal attack, and before you realize it, you're no longer discussing the real issue. You're just defending yourself from their attacks. This is a hallmark of narcissists. They don't resolve conflicts, they weaponize them. To them, arguments aren't about understanding or compromise. They are a power struggle that they must win at all costs. They may use different tactics, but the goal is always the same: to shift the blame onto you. If you try to address something they did that hurt you, they'll immediately turn the tables, making you feel like you're the one at fault. They'll accuse you of bringing up old issues, misinterpreting their words, or even tell you that you're overreacting. Some narcissists choose to explode and manipulate emotions. They might yell, slam doors, or create so much emotional chaos that you give in just to make the argument stop. Others might go completely silent, suddenly ignoring your messages, refusing to engage, making you feel anxious and guilty until you chase after them to make peace. Even when you did nothing wrong, no matter their method, the goal is always the same: to make you feel like you don't have the right to question or challenge them. When you're exhausted and doubting yourself, they've won. So how do you deal with someone like this? First, stop expecting a fair argument. Once you understand that they're not trying to resolve the issue but to control it, you stop falling into their trap. Next, don't let them pull you into an endless loop. If the conversation keeps drifting away from the real issue, stand your ground and refuse to let them shift the narrative. If they start yelling, attacking, or deliberately trying to make you lose control, step back instead of engaging in their game. And most importantly, not every battle is worth fighting. A healthy relationship isn't one where you constantly have to fight just to be respected. If someone always leaves you feeling powerless every time a disagreement arises, maybe it's time to ask yourself, am I trying to save a relationship that's even worth saving? 9. Talking behind your back when a narcissist stabs you and then hands you a bandage. Have you ever trusted someone completely, only to find out they've been talking behind your back? They once acted like your biggest supporter, but when you're not around, they flip the story, twist the facts, or even create an entirely different version of you in front of others. This isn't just a misunderstanding, it's a calculated tactic. A narcissist manipulates how others perceive you to maintain control. They might play the victim, acting as if they've tried their best to tolerate you, claiming you're too difficult, too sensitive, or even toxic. They might add small, fabricated details that over time completely distort the truth. And when you finally find out, it hits you harder than anything. Because the person betraying you is the one you trusted the most. But what's worse is that they don't just do this to bring you down. They do it to lift themselves up. They want to ensure that if there's ever a conflict between you, everyone takes their side. By making you the villain, they not only protect their own image, but also gain sympathy and support from others. So how can you recognize a narcissist who talks behind your back? First, pay attention to how they speak about others in front of you. If they easily twist stories about other people, you can bet they'll do the same to you. Next, trust your instincts. If you start noticing people around you acting differently toward you for no apparent reason, chances are someone has been spreading false stories about you. Instead of blaming yourself, ask, who benefits from destroying my reputation? Finally, don't fall into their trap. When you find out they're lying about you, it's natural to feel angry, betrayed, and eager to defend yourself. But remember, this is exactly what they want. They want you to lose control, to react emotionally, so they can use it as further proof that you're the problem. The best way to break their game is not to play. Keep your dignity, live well, and let the truth reveal itself over time. Being betrayed by a narcissist is painful, but it's also a valuable lesson. You deserve to be surrounded by people who are truly honest and trustworthy. 10. Always looking for someone better. When a narcissist makes you feel like you're never enough. Have you ever been in a relationship where you never felt good enough? No matter how much you tried, the other person was never completely satisfied. One day they praise you, the next they compare you to someone else, a past partner, a co-worker, a mutual friend, or even a stranger. This is one of the narcissist's most toxic tactics. They are always looking for someone better than you and constantly comparing you. They might say things like, "Why can't you be as thoughtful as my ex? My boss is such a visionary. I wish you had that kind of drive. Your friend is so fun and energetic, not like you." At first, you may think they're just offering constructive feedback, but over time you realize this isn't about helping you improve, it's about keeping you under their control. They make you feel insecure, make you question yourself, and most importantly, make you try even harder to win their approval, an approval that will never truly come. But here's the truth. They're not actually looking for someone better. The reality is, no one will ever be good enough for them. They simply enjoy watching people compete for their attention. They thrive on the power they have when you constantly feel the need to prove yourself. And once they've drained everything they can from you, they might actually leave for a new target, or worse, keep you around while continuing to make you feel like you're never enough. So, how do you deal with someone like this? First, recognize your own worth. You don't need to compete with anyone for real love and respect. Someone who genuinely cares about you will never make you feel like a second-choice option. Next, stop trying to earn their approval. A narcissist will never truly be satisfied because the issue isn't you, it's them. A person who is empty inside will never be fulfilled, no matter how much effort you put in. And most importantly, don't be afraid to walk away. If someone makes you feel like you constantly have to prove your worth, that isn't love or friendship. That's manipulation. You deserve to be with people who appreciate you for who you are, not for how well you fit into their endless comparisons. If you've ever been manipulated by a narcissist, you know how devastating it feels. They don't just hurt you, they make you doubt yourself. They strip away your confidence, make you feel like you're not enough, and, most importantly, they convince you that you can't live without them. But remember this, you can escape, and you can rebuild your life stronger than ever. Carl Jung, the father of analytical psychology, once said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." This is why the first step to breaking free from a narcissist's grip is acknowledging what has happened to you. You are not weak or too sensitive, you were systematically manipulated. A narcissist knows how to exploit your deepest fears, and they do it intentionally. But when you face the truth head-on, you begin to take back control. Next, you need to rebuild your identity. When you've been entangled with a narcissist, you become accustomed to prioritizing their needs over your own. They've conditioned you to believe that you don't matter. Now is the time to reclaim your space. Dr. Ramani Durvasula, a leading expert in narcissistic personality disorder, once said, "Narcissists don't change, but you can change how you respond to them." That means you can't wait for them to wake up, change, or suddenly treat you well. You have to be the one to change in order to protect yourself. A crucial step in this process is cutting off emotional dependency. Narcissists have a way of making you feel like you need them to survive. This is a form of emotional addiction. Dr. Craig Malkin, author of Rethinking Narcissism, points out, when you're repeatedly manipulated by a narcissist, you can develop a codependent dynamic where you only feel worthy when they validate you. This explains why so many people stay in toxic relationships even when they know it's unhealthy. But you can break this cycle. Start by setting firm boundaries, limiting your interactions with them, and stopping yourself from seeking their approval. And most importantly, Focus on yourself. Psychology has proven that healing from narcissistic abuse isn't just about leaving them, it's about rediscovering yourself. Spend time doing what you love, surround yourself with supportive people, and slowly rebuild your self-worth. Viktor Frankl, a renowned psychologist, once said, "Between stimulus and response there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom. You have the power to decide how you respond to what has happened. You are no longer their pawn." Escaping a narcissist isn't just about walking away from them, it's about reclaiming yourself. Once you realize that you don't need anyone to validate your worth, you will achieve true freedom, and when that happens, no one will ever control you again.